Well, welcome one and all to Bike Racing Without Mercy, Zwift Tiny Races, and a training program, a 6-week training block to build VO2 Max power, emphasising fun and a little bit of structure. The Kyle Jackson training program.
Well, this morning it's the 3rd of December and it marks the end of basically my third big training block, a 6-week training block to build the top end VO2 Max power. The first was to build endurance ahead of the T-Day challenge and then the Haute route. The second was building the threshold power that culminated in California. And because work has been max effort, proper emotional, I've been taking advantage of the fact that I've had less time to train and therefore more recovery away from the physical exercise to build the top end power. So on the agenda right now is my final 4x Zwift Tiny Races, an amazing way to train, have a bit of fun on the live stream and the racing in order to build the top end power. And right now, taking down the overnight oats that I've prepared in this little, well, this convenient little container, adding the nitroglycerine of the honey.
On the climb in the Yoko. Oh, I think it's fair to say that tickled. That definitely tickled. Dear, dear.
And with the Zwift Insider Tiny Races providing a simultaneously uplifting yet disgusting weekly VO2 Max challenge, plus one other Zwift race per week just for personal enjoyment, you'll understand, my ordered and analytical mind demanded a weekly dose of structure so as to help me gauge progression.
30 seconds to go to the block of 30 minutes. The biggest bang for your buck exercise there is if you're on a limited training time budget.
And as in previous years, I relied on my ever faithful training companion. The biggest bang for your buck hour on the bike there is, in my opinion, a rise, tempo with VO2 Max Surges.
I can't get up to 370 watts yet. My fitness hasn't improved that much. Aiming for about 330.
Those of you who have been subscribed to the channel for more than a year will know that I adore all of the variants of tempo with VO2 Max Surges, especially this version with the 60-second surges at your top end, and I mean top end VO2 Max. And indeed, this time last year, I produced a training video specifically on this program. I'll put the link at the end of the video. And that's because they are the gift that keep on giving. You get 3 for 1. Much better top end power, improved endurance, and also enhanced recovery between hard efforts while still recovering at a decent lick.
There we go. Back to 205. I report back. It's coming up for the 10th and final VO2 Max Surge. It has been emotional.
The training comprises 15 to 20 minutes at your tempo, likely low zone 3, upper zone 2. For me, around 80% of FTP, but it will vary according to your physiology. And then straight into a 30-minute block of tempo with VO2 Max Surges. Same tempo, but every 2 minutes you add in 60 seconds at your top end VO2 Max. For me, it's about 125 to 130% of FTP. And you immediately transition straight back in to the same tempo after each hard effort. Do not wimp out. Trust your body to recover at low zone 3, upper zone 2. Repeat 10 times and then straight into 15 to 30 minutes at exactly the same tempo. Simples.
And transition. That was hard.
And I hope you'll agree, the Zwift graphics here tell a tale of consistency, both in terms of the tempo and the VO2 Max Surges. Look at that as well. 50-50 left-right balance through the Vivero-Aciomas. I decided to dual record this morning the Wattbike Pro with the Vivero-Aciomas. The power on the screen down here is indeed from the Wattbike Pro. We'll have a look at the training peaks in a second from the Vivero-Aciomas. I'm a bit analytical at heart. That has been basically the essence of my job for the last 25, 26 years. So I'm kind of very focused, shall we say, on the differences in power between the Wattbike Pro, the Wattbike Generation 2 Atom, the Kicker Bike, and of course the Vivero-Aciomas. I find the power differential all a bit perplexing, given all the OEMs say, the manufacturers say, plus or minus 1% accuracy. That isn't basically my experience. Anyway, and you can see here that I kept the power down during the recoveries, averaging, I reckon, through the Wattbike Pro about 210 watts for both the tempo and the recovery between the VO2 Max Surges, and also pretty consistent on the surges. I reckon about 330 to 335 watts through the Wattbike Pro. We'll take a look at whatever the power differential was through the Aciomas shortly. But I do love this kind of training to gauge progression. If you're progressing on this kind of a training, you don't need to retake your FTP or properly retest your anaerobic threshold. If the average power over this 30 minutes is increasing and your consistency in terms of the recoveries is good, as well as the VO2 Max surgeries, you know that your power for your anaerobic threshold or your FTP is on the increase. Last week I averaged over 31 minutes times 11 VO2 Max surges because I added one for good luck, so 31 minutes. I averaged about 254 watts, and today here, again, adding one for luck, 255 watts, so pretty much the same. But last week was a breakthrough week in terms of both the quality and the average power. So very happy to keep things consistent this week, especially because the tiny races on the Saturday and the Mercury Stage 6 on the Sunday were proper max effort. I've put 3 hard training sessions back to back. Really enjoying the KFJ, the Kyle Jackson training program, where you're emphasizing the Zwift racing for a bit of fun, but also quite a big challenge in terms of pushing you right outside your comfort zone, especially on the Mercury circuits, where there's loads of little punchy hills and also gravel that really pushes you outside your comfort zone and makes you dig deep for those little efforts up the hill. Well, not little efforts, pretty massive efforts up the hill, and also the gravel. So definitely I'm finding by doing 2 Zwift races a week and one of these VO2 Max surges that the power is gradually coming up. I'm doing a little bit better on the Zwift racing, and definitely, as I just touched on, the average power and the recovery and also the heart rate is all improving. All in about, I reckon, 5 hours training on the bike a week, absolute max. Also 1 weight session a week, greasing the groove with high rep, explosive bench press movements on an incline and sissy squats where with body weight I'm squatting nice and deep and powerfully exploding upwards, hoping basically for the consultant this coming Friday to say, look, my back, well, hopefully it's recovered a fair bit, enough not to have an operation, and we can soon start the physio when the back brace comes off when I'm off the bike. Anyway, more to come.
Zwift Tiny Races for the VO2 Max gains. Didn't make this whole 100, but I gave it everything on that gravel climb.
When it's dark, and to quote the Blues Brothers, I'm not wearing sunglasses. The amino acids and the cold coffee on a deck, that can mean only one thing. It's time to test whether or not I've made some progression on the tempo with VO2 Max Surges. Cheers. The taste of amino acids and cold coffee in the morning. Genius.
Just coming up for the 9th VO2 Max sprint. I reckon progression is on the cards. Here we go. Now, as I progress through the 30-minute block of tempo with surges, I find that more than a generous dose of mental fortitude is required. But I remind myself that I am the boss and I must stay in control of the effort. Breathe deep and expel the CO2 and suck in all of the oxygen. Plus, maintain high cadence and good pedaling technique. This is my hobby. It is my first world privilege to train and improve. It is not pain or suffering. It is an investment in personal progression. And the recoveries, they are as important as the VO2 Max Surges, so I demand quality. And as an added bonus, I find that the tempo recoveries approximate pretty well to my lactate threshold 1, i.e. my maximum endurance power. Maybe you'll find the same. And transition. Woo-wee! Definitely progression. 2 minutes. And then I'm going to cut this training short, get to the airport, and get over to Frankfurt. Well, to say the very least, that was cutting it fine. But now at least safety deposited on the Airbus. And the progression was decent. On the 7th of November, the 30-minute block of tempo with surges averaged 245 watts on the Wattbike Pro, rising to 258 watts by the 6th of December, in turn yielding a very welcome 13 watts or 0.2 watts a kilogram improvement, plus better control of the overall effort and enhanced recovery between the surges. None of this to be sniffed at in the context of a hyper-stressful period at work, a maximum 5 to 6 hours of training and racing per week, including the strength conditioning. And my endurance held up nicely too. Here's the data from the Zwift Gran Fondo live stream in early December, where I used the Favero Aciomas as the power source and averaged 224 watts or 3.5 watts a kilogram for 2 hours 35 minutes, including decent periods of threshold or more. And at this stage, I felt that I was ready to continue my fitness build into December and January. That is, until I succumbed to a severe chesty cough and cold that was doing the rounds at that time, and not helped by being run down from my work schedule. And as at 7th of January, as I say this now, I'm still struggling to come back from it. Well, this morning, combating the super high energy prices with a combination of an LT1 training, look at that, 50-50 left-right balance, plus the power of the fan-assisted Wattbike Pro. All kinds of heat produced. Won't need to turn the heat on for literally hours. I don't know about you, but I prefer my post-ride nutrition on a variety of quite exciting china. Even a plinth. Post-ride nutrition is on the deck. Cue all the comments on portion size. Look at it there. Isn't it beautiful? I don't know about you, but I prefer my seafood on fire, always on fire. Portion size, portion size. Trust me, in amongst all the other courses, one is sufficient. It really is, I promise you. One is more than sufficient. Fish, broth and caviar, that's the name of the game. If you don't like blackberry, this is not the dish for you.
Exactly what I said about blackberries, only this time, chocolate. It's good, is it? It's good apparently, it's good. A bit much chocolate for me. And while I was dealing with a work email, Jane was taking down half of the petit fours, my favourite part of the meal. They taste better than they look, you got to trust me on that. You got to trust me on that for the post-ride nutrition. Well, welcome to my first strength training minus the exoskeleton. The doctor let me take off the back brace about 4 or 5 days ago, and I've been loving it. The feeling of freedom, wandering around the house and even the great outdoors without the back brace is quite incredible. So looking forward to my first training session here in the gym. And over the last 5 weeks, I've been keeping things real simple. The reps, well, they've been high, but the weight super low, trying to keep the pressure off the lumbar spine, but also grease the groove in terms of the movement, but also build a little bit of power with nice, explosive reps. Making sure that I engage the mind-muscle connection with a little bit of a pause at the bottom of each movement, whether the bench press or the squat that you're going to see in a second, and then exploding upwards to try and create the power and stopping the sets when the bar speed slows. Basically, I've been pairing an incline bench press for 3 to 4 sets of anywhere from 15 to 20 reps with a sissy squat that I'm going to demonstrate in a second with 3 to 4 sets of anywhere from 8 to 10 reps. Anyway, time to get on with the bench press, aiming for 20 reps. As you can see here from the CT scan in late November, the bone on the T8 vertebrae still hasn't fused fully, but this is likely as good as it's going to get without an operation. And critically, the spinal cavity is straight and capacious with no fragmentation in it. Also, the November MRI scan confirmed enough muscle and other soft tissue around the bone to ensure structural integrity. Hence, I got the all clear from the experts to move on with life some 7 months after the crash. I've got mixed emotions, but I prefer not to have another operation, and I'm going to have to take ever more care on the bike outside. Felt good. And you can see there, stopping the set as the bar speed started to slow on the 18th through 20th rep. Now on for the sissy squat. And there's nothing sissy about it at all. It's pretty brutal. In reality, the sissy squat is a bit of a brute because it locks in your shins and your calves into a really nice fixed position, enabling you to really focus on the squat movement itself, going super deep until your hamstrings touch the pad here. You have a brief pause at the bottom and then you explode upwards. Now I'm doing things just with body weight, but you can make life a hell of a lot nastier by adding a dumbbell as the strength progresses to do a goblet squat, well, a goblet sissy squat. And aiming for 8 nice powerful reps with good back health, thigh touching a pad. Here we go.
Pushing through the hips, you see.
And 10 reps there was more than adequate. As you can see, once again, brief pause at the bottom as the thigh touched the pad, then explode upwards and push through with the hips to really engage the glutes and the hamstrings. Really good movement this, and properly difficult, much harder than it looks, even with just body weight. And about once a week, when I wake up, before I get out of bed, I continue with a legs raised crunch, typically 80 to 100 reps at a time, just to maintain the core strength, or try and preserve loss of the core strength. That is integral to climbing out of the saddle, and also a nice planted position in the saddle, in my opinion. Additionally, I've added into the regime at least 5 times a week a hanging back stretch. I found out that just hanging like this for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes a day is really good for spinal health in general. So hoping it kind of, well, helps accelerate the recovery ultimately of the spine and helps with Phil Burt's physiotherapy process that's going to start in January, I hope. It really feels good. I definitely recommend it just for your general health and well-being.